for me, the story has not been told completely, and we certainly didn't tell the complete story, but there's plenty of room, and that excited me because the stories that Jack was able to relate to me personally, I did not know, and I found them exciting. And I think, like anything in the world, when you hear something exciting, if you have any kind of spirit at all inside you, you want to share it with the next person, whether it be a good restaurant, whether it's a good movie, a good book, a fine piece of music, or a great story. And so to share those stories and then to know that they had something in common with this continent and our way of life, I mean, if we believe that our history, that seemed to me to be, I guess that's what I'm in business for. You know, I'm in the business to tell stories. People who make films, they have these like ideas, and they wake up in the middle of the night and then they want to share this idea. And then what happens is, lo and behold, it's a really good idea. And then now the work begins. And that's the good and bad news, because to tell this story meant money. I had to go get it from somewhere. It was going to mean thousands of hours. It meant you had to be devoted to this idea. This can't be a whim, you know, on someone's part. You have to be devoted to telling this story the very best you can. Whether someone else could tell it better or not, it remains to be seen. But these guys were devoted to this idea, and that's all I ask of anyone. And the job was awesome. It was 4 years. It was 4 years of their life. They were very proud of the work. I'm proud of them, what they were able to put into this. And it meant bringing a lot of people together. There's nothing greater in life than to work with people. It's hell going through life just by yourself. And suddenly you had this group of people working for one goal, to try and take this huge story and present it. The tears came when you had to eliminate stories, you know. Sometimes you eliminated the best stories, but they just didn't fit in the continuity of what maybe Jack was trying to tell. But like I said before, we have done what hasn't been done, is we've preserved that forever. Even though those stories didn't find their way on the screen, they will find their way to those emotional detectives of the past. People who want to know about their past will be able to become that, what I call an emotional detective, and search out what has come before them.
Les traditions qui se perpétuent aujourd'hui dans le sud-ouest américain, les coutumes, l'architecture, la religion, sont le produit d'un héritage millénaire.
History is something that people want and need to sit still and just hear. It's a desire to hear, to try and compete with the Civil War, to compete with anything that's gone before it, to try to reinvent the wheel. That's not it. That's not how you tell stories. You can only tell them in the way you know, and that's how Jack and Jim approached it. Well, that was, I think, Jack's decision to start where we end up, and then to work backwards. Probably the hardest thing about the series is, how do you get it started? How do you tell this awesome story? Where do you begin? Probably the most familiar territory of the show will be the first hour. You know, that's I guess if you're somebody that's, you know, looking at the marketing of it, that's probably the most threatening hour we have, that we're kind of duplicating other people's ideas, because we're telling that story. But then it kicks off and into gear.
Pueblo Bonito, la merveille du canyon.
We were limited by, you know, when you go back thousands and thousands of years, you don't have the benefit of, let's say, slides or pictures that people are able to draw up in current documentaries, be it about World War II or even as far back as the Civil War. So we didn't have that luxury, and we were determined to take history farther back than just 200 years, just in the West as we kind of popularly know at that period. So we did have the art, and we had sculptures, and we had those type of things, but we wanted to go further than that, and kind of through the knowledge of professionals recreate these, the architecture where they were, and that was a thing we needed to do to be more effective in trying to tell this story.
Il y a 1000 ans, le grand soleil, à la fois roi et pape, vivait au sommet d'une montagne de 10 étages, bâtie par l'homme et dont la base de 64 000 mètres carrés dépassait celle de toutes les pyramides d'Égypte.
We don't value the past so much. I think in America we've really lost sight of where we've come from. Not just from we don't value the wisdom of older people. That's why there's so many pissed off old people. I'm starting to get old myself, and I think to myself, I know things, and I got a feeling I'm going to know these things when I'm 60, and I'm certainly going to know the same things that I know now when I'm 80. So is it any wonder when an 18-year-old is looking at me and scoffing? We don't cherish. We don't keep our family units the way they were able to. We're big societies. The Indians were smaller cultures. We're so big. I mean, Southern California used to be an ideal situation. Now you make your day, you arrange it around the freeway. You truly do. You say, I'm not going to be over there at 3 o'clock because I can't possibly get home. I'll meet you between 10 and 1 now. That's the window of operating in Los Angeles with any kind of distance. And we couldn't be a tribe here if we wanted. There's just too many of us because we cannot work for the collective good of everyone else.
Bien qu'au cœur de la plus grande nation indienne d'Amérique du Nord, celle des Mayas, dont les ancêtres avaient bâti les pyramides, les Européens ne peuvent imaginer que de tels édifices aient pu être construits par des Indiens.
It's a forgotten history, we believe. It's a history that's been dismissed, but we don't necessarily think that translates into that there's never been any interest in it. We think that people are interested where they come from. And I think that people think of themselves as citizens of the world. And it's important, I think people think about the world now a lot more than they just think about their country. That people are dealing with Americans now. And there's a reason why Americans are the way they are. I mean, this is Europe, when you think about Europe, countries were taken by armies. They were taken by religious sects, the Protestants, the Catholics, the Romans, blah, blah, blah. When you think about America, America was taken by individuals who just had the audacity and the courage and the resourcefulness to go out and take the land from other people. Just take it. And right across the whole continent, you had this Western movement that we've romanticized, but if you break it down, it was one person saying, I'm strong enough to take this and hold this. And I've got almost a manifest destiny to do it. You're going. And it's resulted in who we are as a culture. We are a very individual culture. We believe in individual rights. And it would be interesting for the world to see the animals we have become, based on what we were.
Chassées de leurs terres, les nations indiennes sont parquées dans des réserves arides. Et leur approvisionnement dépend désormais du bon vouloir d'agents fédéraux corrompus.
The thing that kept coming back to me so strong was, even though it was the history of the people who are on this continent, what always continued to strike me was the people who came to the continent, the boldness, the arrogance, the courage, if you will. I mean, you might hate them for what they did, but if you think about it just in real terms about who these Spaniards were, the cojones that these guys had to wade into a continent, an unknown continent, and basically claim it, and and willing to back it up, was to me startling and unbelievable.
Vers 7 heures du soir, le 7e de cavalerie ramena de Wounded Knee un long convoi de morts et de blessés, soldats et indiens. 49 femmes et enfants blessés avaient été entassés dans quelques vieux chariots.
We don't have to be ashamed, but we have to be aware. It's an obligation. It's an obligation that we should have. We should have enough respect for the land and the people that were here to talk about it, and not flinch from it, and not apologize, but be able to talk about it educatedly, and as opposed to get into a parlor conversation where you go, I don't have to take responsibility for that. Yeah, right, you don't. But do you understand what happened? See, that's a better place to be. I mean, we have to get away from guilt and move towards an understanding.